Let's now continue with some other conversations on the program this evening. The federal government has imposed a 7-year ban on establishment of new federal universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education, citing the proliferation of underutilized institutions, outstretched or overstretched resources, and a drop in academic quality. This decision was approved at the Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by President Bola Tinubu at the Presidential Villa, Abuja, followed a presentation by the Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, briefing State House correspondents after the meeting. Dr. Alausa said the challenge in Nigeria's tertiary education system was no longer access, but inefficiency, poor infrastructure, inadequate staffing, and dwindling enrollment in many existing institutions. Alausa explained that the moratorium would enable the government to channel resources into upgrading facilities, hiring qualified staff, and expanding the carrying capacity of our institutions. I still have with me policy analyst Yusuf Harun, who joins virtually, and senior data analyst right here, Mr. Stephen, with me in the studio. Mr. Harun, let me begin this one with you right there. This statement by the Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji, he says in our country, access to quality financial education is no longer an issue. We are witnessing today is a duplication of new federal tertiary institution, a significant reduction in current capacity of each institution, and degradation of both physical infrastructure and manpower. Now, the government has discovered this. The question I want to ask you, sir, what next?
Currently, we have 667 tertiary institutions in Nigeria. We have 283 universities, and out of these, 69 of them are federal owned. So what Dr. Tunji Alausa is explaining is something which is quite reasonable and logical. He is trying to focus towards quality instead of just quantity. Quality is the improvement of the standards of these federal institutions compared to just quantity, the numbers of federal institutions available in the country. We have many universities, many polytechnics and colleges of education, but there's one important thing which Dr. Tunji Alausa pointed out. When you write an examination, external examination to admit students, over 100 of these institutions don't even get up to 90 admissions of students. So that is quantity. So what he wants to do is to improve the quality and the standard. We should also see that the federal government has improved this TET fund, and many universities are benefiting from it. Federal in particular, especially University of Lagos, University of Ibadan, we have Ahmadu Bello Universities area, and these universities, they need adequate funding. So what he is trying to do is to limit the universities instead of proliferating them, so that the funds that are readily available can be used to improve the standard, improve the quality, and also improve the education of these students who are going to be graduates and future technocrats. There's another thing I want to bring out, is that there's a university in the north, which research showed that they had over 1,200 staffs, and the students there were less than 1,000. So this is a sheer waste. I don't want people to lose their jobs, but we have to look at strategic ways in which we can improve quality of the students and also of the institutions, unlike just proliferating these institutions and having too many or numerous tertiary institutions all around, which are not providing the adequate services. Now, let's also look at it. Many of them are unemployed. Yes, there are many graduates. Bachelor's is now like pure water in Nigeria. Many people have bachelor's degree. Many people have master's degree. But what is the quality? Indeed. And I also want to say that many graduates should be looking at being independent when they finish school, not just looking for employment. They should look for how they can be creative. This is how the Western world does. They look for how they can be creative and how they can add more value to society.
I hear you, Mr. Harun, but let me come to you now, Mr. Oneya. Of that number he just reeled, and of course, the federal universities are actually 72. That's what Dr. Tunji said, during that press briefing. Now, of that number, we have more private universities in this country than government-owned universities. Now, if the and from what he also said, about 350 pending applications for approval is on the desk, which it's been halted as we speak right now. But if the federal government is putting a ban to the establishment of more universities for the next 7 years, are they saying that in that period of time, they'll be able to fix all that is wrong in our tertiary education system before approvals are given again?
Fix is not what I would use. Consolidate is what I would use. They'll be able to consolidate their efforts in terms of funding, infrastructure, and manpower gap. And I'll just give you some basic statistics. The benchmark for student to academic staff ratio, the benchmark, global benchmark is 10 to 1 student. What we currently have in Nigeria is about 20 to 1 academic staff. That's what we're currently at. 2.1 million students to 100,000 academic staff. Now, if you look at the ranking, global ranking of higher institutions in the country, in the world, global ranking, we don't have any Nigerian university that made the top 500. That's why it speaks to the challenge we have with quality. And that's why I agree with my virtual attendee.
Mr. Haruna.
Yes, I agree with him completely. But the level, the appalling nature of quality we roll out in this country from tertiary education system is appalling.
Now, if you keep saying that, I'd like us to talk about budgetary allocation now, because this is really important. If we need to revamp our education and bring that quality the minister is talking about, what then should our budgetary allocation be to education to be able to achieve that? Okay,
so I will just go with the recommended allocation by UNESCO, which said 15 to 20% of our budget should go into education. What we currently have is 5 to 8%. And you can't put that blame on us, because the truth is, UNESCO will do the analysis by a country with several needs. But it doesn't mean we shouldn't prioritize education, because the day we have issue with security, they say we should have prioritized security. The day we have health, they say we should have prioritized health. They say so the truth is, we have people at the aim of our affairs plan. These are intellectuals who knows what our resource limitations are and our requirements are. So they got to plan based on what we need and what we have. So I don't completely agree that it's a function of budgeting. The move to sports is not hot. They paused it for 7 years to do a proper SWOT analysis, consolidate the efforts, try and reallocate funding, make sure the infrastructural gaps are plugged, and academic staff ratio to student ratio are balanced. That's basic requirement.
Mr. Haruna, very quickly, in 30 seconds, if you can, bring this for me. If Mr. Onida here is saying that it's not solely about budgetary allocation, but putting systems in place, do you agree with that?
I'm privileged to have graduated from a foreign university in the United States, and I also attended some courses in Harvard University in Franklin, where I did my master's and postgraduate. Most of these universities, these big universities we see all over the world, Cambridge or Oxford, their allocations are not only from the federal government. That's the problem Nigeria is facing. I don't know, we have professors who are coming out from these universities, and they are still dependent on federal government. They go on strike. They are waiting for Fed. We should start being creative. There's what we call endowment funds. There's what we call donations. Even these universities should be able to generate income. At least they study economics in the university. They should be able to do banking and finance. They should be able to look at how they can generate funds. University of Lagos is one example, which I know they are even making their own products, their transportation, their water. Even Laspotech, which is now Lasutech, Lagos University teaching. So you should have to be productive. So I agree that the federal government should not just be the sole breastfeeding of these universities. The universities also should start being productive and using their intellect and knowledge to be able to generate income and resources even to the government and give back to the society.
Indeed.
That is something which I highly recommend. That is what is done in the US.
That's right.
They have billions. Some universities in the US, their revenue is even more than some small states in Africa, or even some small countries in Africa.
Great perspective, gentlemen. But let's now move on